working with the police. No, not helping them with their inquiries, that's a different day. No, you'll often find yourself working with the police if you're a press photographer, because often we will attend crime scenes, or not so much inside the actual crime scene, although I have done that. But more often than not, it's things like road accidents and fires and stuff like that. And obviously you get to know the local police in your area and usually get lots of tips from them or information from them, which can be quite helpful. But it can also be quite humorous. On one occasion, we used to do a lot of work with the local police when I was working on one newspaper, and the local crime prevention officer would often involve me in things for their sort of things. Like on one occasion there was a local fete, Peter Carnival, and they took a car along to this fete and carnival, the local police, and they were demonstrating all the different anti-theft devices, the gear stick lock thing, the crook lock that goes on the steering wheel. There was another one that went round one of the pedals, I think. They had just about everything you could imagine on this car, and I went over the fete and got a few pictures, and I bumped into the crime prevention officer who was basically guarding this car. And I said to him, do you want to come for a cup of tea or something? Because I get to know these people pretty well. And he said, oh no, I can't. He said, if I leave the car, he said, they'll pinch it. I said, what do you mean pinch it? It's got every crook lock known to man on it. He said, yeah, but they'll still pinch it. He said, just for a bit of fun. So a couple of days later, I bumped into him on somewhere else on another job. I said, did they pinch your car then? No, he said, they didn't pinch it. He said, I had to guard it all flipping day. The trouble was, he said, it went home on a lorry. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, they nicked all the leads off the engine, all the plug leads. But somehow, when he was standing there watching it, they'd managed to open the bonnet and pinch all the plug leads off it. So, car thieves are very tricky. But the occasion that comes to mind was, one of the things that you would often do are functions that involve the police, such as, in one particular case, there was a local hospital were being presented with money for a kidney machine or x-ray machine or something like that. I can't remember the details exactly, but the local police were involved in fundraising for this. So you basically had the chief of police, the mayor, the hospital manager and all these people there for the cheque presentation. So of course Muggins here gets sent along to get pictures for the paper. So when I get there, there's another photographer there. There's actually two other photographers there. So I go up to these blokes and say, hi, who are you with? He said, we've seen the crime photographers, he said. I said, oh, is there a problem? He said, no, they sent us out to do all the publicity photos as well as the murders and things. He said, to be honest, it makes a nice change to be photographing somebody living. So when it comes to doing the cheque presentation, because you let them do the official presentation, and then you usually do like a fake line-up after with everybody sort of holding the cheque and all that. So once the official thing was sorted out, I said, right, so I said to this bloke, because I said, do you want to line them up, the way you want them for the police, for the Police Gazette or whatever it was the picture was going in? He said, no, he said, we don't do much of that. He said, do you want to line them up for me? So I said, yeah, no problem, I'll line them all up nicely and get a nice, like a nice pose for them. I said, but do you want me to chalk round them all first to make it easier for you? And he thought that was highly amusing, luckily. And we then went, there was a bun fight after, or it was a bit of a party after it, all laid on, presumably paid for by the taxpayers in the hospital. So we all went in there. Now all these police and everybody are all wearing ID badges. Even the scenes of crime have got scenes of crime ID, and of course I'm with them. I'm smartly dressed, but I'm all with them. So we go in, and the lady in the canteen was issuing the food. She sits in the hospital canteen, and as she gets to me, I'm behind one of the scenes of crime photographers, and as she gets to me, she stops and she says, well, who are you? And the scenes of crime photographer in front of me says, oh, he's with us, he said, he's special branch. Oh, she said, I'm sorry, and give me a plate of food. So that was that sorted out. Never refuse a free feed or two. Thank you for watching.